Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to another exciting Beer Nuts. They are 7 people. So, go around the horn. We've got people all over the country. We're just kind of pick the random order here. So we're going to start off introductions with Christopher.
I am Chris. I am in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. My last Untapped check-in was Beer Me by Oddside Ales.
Beer Me. All right. Move on, staying in Michigan, to John Golden. Welcome back, John.
Hey there. I am John Golden from Royal Oak, Michigan. And my last Untapped check-in was Life for a Puppy Shouldn't Be So Rough from Transient Ales, Stout Imperial Double Delicious.
Double Delicious. Sounds great.
Double Delicious.
Let's hop on down to Durham, North Carolina, and welcome back, Ross.
Hey, nice to be here. My last Untapped check-in was Ladyfingers from Commonwealth Brewing Company. It's Imperial Stout. Really good.
All right, and I'm going to go next to JR here in Corona de Tucson, Arizona. My last Untapped check-in on Election Day was Pliny for President. Russian River Brewing Company, double IPA, delicious, as is everything from Russian River. So let's hop on over to Los Angeles to Steve V.
Oh, did it fall into the ocean finally?
Steve, you there, bud?
All
right, not sure what's up with that.
He's probably muted.
Steve, you there, bud?
That says he's on the call.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on and come back to him. So let's hop on back to Michigan to Doug. Dugout, welcome back.
Thanks. Yep, this is Dugout in Clawson, Michigan. And my last Untapped check-in was Bourbon Barrel Plead the Fifth Imperial Stout by Dark Horse Brewing Company from 2014. And you know what? It's just drinking incredible. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was back in the glory days.
Yep.
And let's stay in Michigan and welcome back Greg. Welcome back, Smitty. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Thanks, guys. Hey, everybody. Greg here in Dearborn. And my last Untapped check-in was the Pomona Project Cyclone from Wax Wings Brewing Company. Heavily fruited sour with just tons of fruit, and it was delicious.
All right. Maybe you take one more stab at going back to Los Angeles. Steve V, you with us?
Can you hear me?
There he is.
Woohoo! Sorry, having computer trouble there. So my last check-in was from Golden Road Brewery. I had a Dodger Blonde Ale in celebration of Dodger World Series. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. And the beer was delicious because it was not because it was 2 years old, but because it was after a great victory. Go Dodgers.
Well, congratulations on that victory, and much well-deserved. And congratulations to Smitty for his Spartans defeating the arch-rival Wolverines.
Ooh, yeah.
And I have no bragging rights whatsoever as my Nittany Lions fell to the Ohio State Buckeyes. But let's forget sports for now because we're all thirsty and we got a great topic. Most of us love these breakfast beers that you could enjoy for breakfast or even maybe for dinner or after dinner, but with breakfast profiles, coffee, maple. I threw out Chelada, but I don't think anybody's going there. So to kick off the festivities, we first always want to invite everybody to join us in a beer. We're not a bunch of pretentious beer snobs. It's just regular craft beer lovers that really the mission of the show is to introduce more good people to more good beer. And we got some really good beers tonight, so we're going to throw it over to Christopher to lead us off. So take it away, Chris.
Yeah, I don't normally get to do this. Beer I picked tonight, I picked solely based on I've never had it before. It's a beer I've seen. It's a beer you gentlemen have raved about. I've never had it. I got a Founder CBS here. CBS, he's the Canadian Breakfast Stout, Imperial Stout brewed with chocolate and coffee aged in maple syrup bourbon barrels. Not gonna lie, I'm on my second one of the night. It's 11.7 ABV, so you gotta pace yourself with this. You try to take out the whole 4-pack, you're gonna have an awesome time. But pouring this thing in the glass, this is motor oil. I mean, there is no light getting through this. Sticking your nose in it, you're getting initially my impression was like soy sauce, and as it's warmed up here, it's getting sweeter. You're getting a lot of that. A lot of the cocoa, a little bit of the coffee, some malt, and then this thing on the glass. I mean, it's lacing sticking to the side of the glass here. I mean, it's kind of characteristic of this type of beer. Take a sip. Oh man, the warmer this gets, the better it gets. It's really sweet on the front, and then it's boozy in the middle. I mean, 11.7, you're going to get a little bit of that alcohol. And then right at the end, right as it's going down the back of your tongue, that cocoa kicks in. And then the maple is there. It's subtle, but it's there right at the finish with that cocoa. I mean, I could see why this stuff is so popular, and I've always raved about the quality of, even in mass production, the quality of the beer that Founders puts out. I mean, this doesn't seem like it's cheaply made. It seems like good ingredients. I mean, all in all, this is an awesome beer. I can see why every rating comes back 5 stars. I mean, starting it off with a great beer here. It's Founder CBS. I'm sure most people are familiar with it. This is my first experience with it. I love it, and I'm going to have to save those last 2. For another special occasion.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in a little bit. This used to be a really white whale, really hard to find, only released every few years. I was at the brewery one time when they surprise tapped a keg of it, and it was fantastic at the brewery. The one thing I noticed about the more recent product in recent years is that you should be tasting some maple in there, and I didn't hear you mention that. And I know that the last few of these I've had, I think they're probably more mass-produced now than they were back in the day, and it was very difficult to detect that maple. But if we let it warm up enough, you'll usually get it on the finish. Taste it again, and Chris, and tell me if you taste any maple on that one.
I said it's right at the end with the chocolate. Okay. It's the maple's more in the aroma than it is on the palate.
I can tell you the one I had in the brewery, which was several years ago before they were bought out, and now that they make a lot more, that one you could really taste the maple. So while I agree that it's an excellent beer, and I'm glad you're enjoying it, I think having had it in previously before they started making a lot of that, it was really, really, really fantastic then when you got more maple influence. So just wanted to point that out. It's a great beer to start out the show with. I also wanted to say a couple things. Number one, they used to only make CBS in large format bottles, 25 ounce, which, I know that they exported some 12 ounce bottles to Canada, and everybody complained in the States that, hey, why are you sending 12 ounce to Canada? We want that. So they finally did relent and produced it in 12 ounce bottles. I'm sure that's probably what you're drinking, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good example of them listening to their customers. I think you could actually get it in large format or 12 ounce. The other thing I wanted to point out is they did say that they weren't going to produce it anymore, which basically probably means that they'll wait a couple years until people are begging for it, and then they'll bring it back. But that's pure speculation on my part. So anybody else have any comments on CBS? I'm sure most of us have had it.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they did the that first major big release of it, where that first year they distributed it everywhere, a lot of places down here, basically got it for the first time and had it on tap, or got a fair amount of it. Some places got kegs every now and then, but people kind of rushed out and they knew what was happening. Most of the bars and bottle shops where craft beer were served ended up, getting a keg, and the place where I ended up having one of the first ones on draft I'd ever had. They had, they were serving it really, really, really cold, which isn't kind of what you want, right? It was, and so you could kind of see that there were a lot of people who had rushed there to get it, or had heard about it, or who were kind of on the fringes of things, and there's this beer you got to have before it kicks, and they were disappointed in their experience. And then there's kind of another section of people that are holding around with the glass in both of their hands, trying to get it to warm up a little bit before they have too much of it. And those people enjoyed the beer a lot more. It's definitely something where there's actually a temperature gradient to it. It's enjoyable sipping across, because the profile changes a little bit, I think, as you're doing that. And but definitely you don't. You want to let that thing warm up, and most people, I think, pull it off the shelf and put it in the fridge for a half hour, and then drink it. Right? You don't really want it that cold, and I think that's what probably what people are getting to now. This overwhelming. I guess there's some feedback about it not having a lot of maple in it, but there's a lot more people who aren't willing, I guess, to try to get a little warmer and get that little kick out of it at the end when it gets warmer. That's just my 2 cents.
But I had it when I first brought it home, and it's two different beers when it was colder versus what I've been letting this sit for a couple hours. It definitely tastes a lot. There's a lot of different things going on now versus a couple hours ago when I was drinking it when they were colder. So I agree with you there.
Well, and there's some price issues too on this stuff. You have $25 for a 4-pack of 12-ounce bottles. That's not cheap. I know some of us gladly pay that and paid more for single bottles of bombers, but still, as an everyday drinker, and they produce a lot of it. They just threw tons of it in the marketplace, and from what I understand, they're not making this anymore. That's kind of the last run. So everything you see out there is that's it.
Oh.
But yeah, I just bought some KBS, the Mackinac Fudge KBS, and yeah, that was $25 for a 4-pack, and it wasn't gouged or anything. That's basically the flat price on it. You might find it for $20 at Meijer on sale or something, but you start to get into some money there.
Yeah, all right. Well, if you see it in the store, haven't had it, grab it, because it isn't going to be back anytime soon. I still postulate that someday they'll bring it back, but it'll probably go a couple years. Create a new demand for it, because people will say, "Oh, we'd love to have that back." But there's a lot of other good beers out there these days. So, great beer to start out with, though, and certainly a great choice for this topic. So let's move on to John Golden.
Okay. Actually, one quick note on the CBS is if you ever get some older bottles of it, you'll notice too is that in the 2017 and previous versions, they have the horse on the label, and there's a Canadian Mountie sitting in the saddle. Apparently, the RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, decided they didn't like their image being put on a beer, so they requested them remove it. And from 2018 on, it's instead of a horse standing on all fours with a rider, it is now a horse rearing up on its back legs and no rider.
Yep.
It's kind of a interesting little bit. But the beer I have today is made by Cameron's Brewing Company, and it is called their Early Bird Breakfast Barley Wine. And I'm just going to real quick read what they say in the label, and we'll see if we actually get those flavors. But they say, a burst of fresh air on a crisp winter morning invigorates the soul and warms the heart. Early Bird Breakfast Barley Wine is a strong ale that has been aged in bourbon barrels with 2 classic Canadian ingredients, Ontario maple syrup and cold steeped coffee. The result is an amalgamation of flavors that include molasses, caramelized sugar, toffee, white chocolate, and dark fruits that give our barley wine a long finish that is a perfect addition to your favorite breakfast. This is clocking in at 11.8%, and they actually put the ingredients on the can. So they're using Chinook hops, and the malts are amber and 2-row. And other than that, they're the only other things they have, obviously, water and yeast, but they are using malted barley, brewed coffee, hops, and maple syrup. So I'm going to crack it open here, and of course, everything comes in a can now, right? All right, so this is pouring out actually kind of a nice, like a deep gold amber color, a little bit lighter than I was expecting. I was expecting something a little bit darker. It's a little cloudy. Actually, I guess we'll go with fairly cloudy. I mean, it's hold it up to the light. You can see through it a little bit, but not much. I can't, see my hand on the other side of the glass, but let's give it a taste here. All right, this is really, really good. I can see definitely this jolting you awake for a short time before it makes you pass out, but I do definitely get the coffee, although it's not a super overpowering, roast. The maple syrup is actually really nice. Kind of almost feel like I'm eating some French toast. It's got a little bit of that toasty flavor to it. I get just a tiny, tiny little hint of some coconut. There's plum in here. Prunes, maybe even some raisins. Just really, really good. It's got a nice thick mouthfeel to it. The head on it is kind of a tan, a little bit off-white. Came out, pretty good, but small bubbles and has since pretty well dissipated. But give the glass a little swirl and it comes right back. So very well carbonated, although low carbonated as the style would require. But dynamite beer, really, really good. If you can get your hands on one of these, I definitely recommend it. I think at the store when I bought it, this was the last and only one on the shelf. So otherwise, I probably would have bought more. But great beer, highly recommend it.
Yep, I've had that beer when I was still living in Michigan. I remember picking up a couple cans, and it's a pretty solid offering.
Yeah, it's very, very complex. I mean, each time I'm taking a sip, I'm getting, thinking about it, and it's like, okay, I'm picking up something new here, and okay, what is it? And it's just a lot of flavors all mixed together, but blended very well. Like I said, the coffee is for being made actually with coffee in it. The coffee is actually subtle.
Well, it's even possible we may have reviewed this on the Canadian episode. I know I checked my Untapped. I definitely have checked it in, and I know we did a couple of Canadian episodes. I know we probably had at least one Cameron's beer. I'm not sure if this was it, but definitely a good breakfast beer. And what's the ABV on it?
It is 11.8%.
All right. Yep.
And IBUs of 80. So there is a nice hop presence to it. I think that really balances it out nice, and I guess it kind of takes away some of the sweetness that I was really kind of half expecting. It's got a little bit of that kind of, that typical barley wine, sort of vinous, kind of little slightly boozy flavor.
Sounds fantastic. All right, good choice there.
Well, it's interesting in that it's a barley wine with adjuncts, and typically you don't see many barley wines with adjuncts. You might see them bourbon barrel aged, but and it is that. In my experience, and I think we've had this discussion before, that that beer in itself is good enough to where you start adding things to it, you take away from the beer.
In this case, I don't think that they have. I think they've really pulled it off. I mean, I'm sure they probably experimented with just how much of the coffee do we add and how much of the maple syrup, and I think they really did it well.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, it's just I usually, if I see a barley wine that's got adjuncts, I just say shy away. I usually don't even bother.
Well, now I have to actually fill it because I got a 16-ounce can. So I now have to actually fill my glass back up, and apparently I have to videotape myself chugging the rest of it and post it on the Barley Wine is Life Facebook group.
I'll be
looking. If you remember that group, watch for it.
I'm a member of it. I will be looking.
I think I failed. I think I left that one.
Yeah, it's
Geez, John Golden, the sacrifices you have to make.
I know it's awful.
Somebody has to.
Somebody's got to do it though.
Yeah.
Barley Wine is Life. All right, thank you, John. Let's move down to North Carolina and see what Ross has for us.
Okay, I've got a bourbon barrel aged Sunny Side Up coffee stout from Pizza Boy. I'm not sure when I got this. Probably on an outing with you, maybe sometime when we were drinking before or after an Eagles game weekend, JR. I'm guessing that's where it came from. I just I discovered it when I was going through trying to find something for the show, and I'm like, well, I've had this for a little while, time to drink it. They're in Enola, Pennsylvania, which I guess is out by Harrisburg, and it is 9.5%. It doesn't really have anything descriptive on the can other than the coffee they use in it is from Little Amps Coffee Roasters. Has a nice picture of an egg on a stove cooking, and I guess it's time to crack it. Looks pretty good. Oh, one other thing. They make a non-BA version of this, and you can tell that this is the bourbon barrel-aged version because they take the normal can and just stick a golden sticker that says bourbon right over the middle of the logo. This is pouring nice and dark with a nice brown head on it. The smell. There's bourbon up front. Not as much coffee as I was expecting, but I've been also sitting on this one probably a little longer than I intended to. There's definitely a little bit of vanilla in there. Little chocolate. Nothing overpowering. Everything's just kind of blending and just kind of, I would say they're just very subdued. Go for the taste. Okay, it's not as much on the bourbon on the taste as I would have expected. There's chocolate again, and there's coffee on the taste. It's kind of understated on the taste as well. Nothing is really standing out. There's some stuff that's kind of coming out as I'm letting it sit. Yeah, a little bit of vanilla in there. A little, maybe a weird, little nice nuttiness aftertaste to it. Again, there's nothing particularly standing out as an overwhelming taste. There's just a kind of blend. I have a feeling that this is another one of those that's really going to change with the temperature and warming up. I wonder how it would have been if I'd had it a little bit colder. Yeah, I wish I could say that there was something that was really standing out about this, but it's kind of it's kind of got a medium body to it, medium carbonation to it. It's not in any way like a bad beer or anything, but nothing makes it stand out from any of the other stouts I've had that would have been, kind of the coffee breakfasty stouts.
Well, Ross, I would like to interject because I do believe I gave you this, and I believe it's probably been 4 or 5 years. So that's probably the reason that some of these flavors have faded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's located in central Pennsylvania, right outside of Harrisburg, as you said, Enola. Pizza Boy Brewing Company.
I didn't see a date on the can, so I don't know.
Buddy of mine lived near the brewery and used to get me this all the time, and there are different variants of it. So I'm sure probably drank that a couple years ago. You'd have more bourbon influence. Yeah. Coffee's probably faded. So, probably it was when we met at an Eagles game, and gosh, I've been in Arizona 2 years now. That's probably, I'm going to estimate 4 years ago, so that 2016 maybe. Still should hold up, but coffee.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about it. It's just that, from the look of the can and from what it says is, from the coffee standout, I was expecting something to stand out a little more. But it's just kind of a nice blend of stuff. That's good.
Yeah, I think it's probably, it's probably past its prime. So yep. I know when I got those and they were fresh, there were, a lot of coffee in that. And coffee's known to fade over time. I don't remember how much bourbon there was in it, but yeah, it was a good, solid beer. I always enjoyed getting it. It definitely has that breakfast profile, the coffee and the Sunny Side Up name, and it's pretty popular in those parts, central Pennsylvania. So, but hey, good thing you drank it now because it's only not going to get any better with age.
I will have to try to acquire a newer one next time I get up that way.
We can help you with that.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If I learned one thing from this great game of baseball, it's that she'll humble you. You think you've got it figured out, you check the standings, and you're in last place again. I'm Eric Rubino, Fantasy Baseball GM, and I can put my team in position to win every single time, but I can't play the games, people. At least Progressive's Name Your Price tool has options based on my budget. It never lets me down, unlike my pitching staff. Amateurs!
Get options based on your budget with Progressive, even if you're not a legend in your own mind. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
As much as life has changed over the last year, you're still pretty busy. So consider convenient COVID-19 testing from Quest. Get the same tests hospitals use without a doctor visit. Simply order online, select from drive-through or at-home options, and get results sent securely to your phone or computer. It's a great fit for your busy life. With over 25 million COVID-19 tests processed, you can count on Quest. So order your test today at questcovid19.com.
ChristopherMedia.net.
So we're going to now go to some beer news, and actually, Ross, I think you had a story that you wanted to share with us.
Oh, yeah, it was just something that ran across the feed earlier today, was that, where did it go now? Sweetwater Brewing, I guess they're in Georgia, was sold for $300 million to a Canadian company called Aphria, I guess, which is a cannabis company. We know that Sweetwater had certainly a few 420 themed events along the way, so there's probably some synergy there with being bought by a cannabis company. That's really all that I know about it. The main part of that article is behind a paywall, so there's not much I just know that they announced it today, like earlier this afternoon, that the sale had gone through. So, but that's the only real news I have.
Certainly an opportunity for a shameless plug for one of Chris's other podcasts, The Weedsman.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also, yesterday in Arizona, the proposition passed. So it looks like we're going to get legal weed here in Arizona. Good for the tax revenue anyway. Anyway, that's anybody interested in that, go visit ChristopherMedia.net and look for The Weedsman.
Well, it's funny you do bring that up because it's in a crossover story. We just talked about it on yesterday's Weedsman podcast. Shorts is teaming up with a company in Michigan, and they're going to be making Shorts beer-flavored edible gummies. So you can get like Hoomla Loompa-licious flavored cannabis gummies, or like Soft Parade flavored cannabis gummies.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, do you really need to mix Soft Parade and weed? That's not okay. I mean, I'm down, but I've done that. I've done that with a bottle of beer, and it's okay, cool.
The thing is with Oregon, I guess they're legalizing shrooms. Are we going to have some shroom beers in the future? I don't know.
Well, the one thing I've learned about the cannabis beers is, I guess I don't know if it's the TTB or the FDA, whoever regulates this stuff. You can make a cannabis beer, but you can't have alcohol and cannabis in it. You can't have THC and alcohol in the same liquid. So right now you can either buy a beer or you can buy a cannabis beer that's non-alcoholic but has cannabis and THC in it. So that's my understanding. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but maybe it varies by state. I don't know, but I'm just learning, and maybe some things will come more clear as the Arizona legalization plays out. I don't know how long it takes for dispensaries to be selling, and
depends on your state. Nevada was ready in like 6 months. Michigan, it took like 2.5 years. Like it all depends.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see for Arizona, but it did pass. So all right, anybody else? Any beer news? If not, I'm thirsty and it's my beer, so I'm going to introduce my breakfast beer, which is a brewery dear to my heart, Kane Brewing Company from New Jersey, Ocean, New Jersey, right near the Jersey Shore. This is their Mexican Brunch Imperial Milk Porter with rook coffee, maple, cinnamon, cacao, and chilies. Right up my alley. 9.2% ABV. This is the 2020 vintage. I'm going to read from the bottle before I review this. It says, Mexican Brunch is brewed with locally roasted Sumatra coffee, maple syrup, cinnamon, cacao nibs, and ancho chilies. The dark roast coffee and chocolate character of the malts balance the residual sweetness of the milk sugars. Spices blended post-fermentation add complexity to this full-bodied and remarkably smooth beer. So, already poured myself. I was wise enough to pull this out about a half hour before the broadcast, and we're now, it's been out for a good hour, so it's warming up a little bit to, nice cellar temperature. So I just poured myself a glass. I got about a half a finger ahead that will not go away. It's not dissipating at all. It's a solid, like cola, light brown head. Other than that, it's you cannot see through it. It almost would look like a stout, but it is a milk porter. I would assume since it's a milk porter, it's probably got lactose in it to sweeten it up. So let's check the aroma on this. Definitely getting, I think cacao nibs probably are the overwhelming, and the chocolate malt. It's mostly a lot of chocolate on the nose. Maybe even a little bit of vanilla, which I don't think is an ingredient in this, and I can definitely detect some cinnamon. So it tastes like something I can't wait to get into, so I'm going to take a sip. Oh yeah. So it's right away the cinnamon's there, but it's not like It's a perfect level of cinnamon. It doesn't blow you away. The chocolate, I think, is very pronounced. The cinnamon's kind of hits you pretty quickly, and then it evolves more into a cacao nibs, and at the very end, you have that nice little subtle chili finish. This reminds me a little bit of Zokovica that Stone puts out, only it's much smoother than Zokovica, and it's like silky smooth, really nice mouthfeel on this thing, and maybe not as sharp of flavors. It's more of a the flavors all meld into one. I always use the analogy of a concert, like a symphony. Everything kind of blends together. You don't say, well, I got cinnamon here, I got chilies here. It all kind of blends together. Let's take a couple more sips of this, evaluate a little bit more. So again, the first thing I notice is how silky smooth this is. Great mouthfeel. It's for a porter. It's on the probably fuller bodied side of a porter, but it's definitely a porter. It falls short of being one of those beers you can chew that a big heavy stout would have. You don't get the roasted component, and you get a little bit more sweetness from the lactose. But it's got that nice frothy. I was telling you that the head hasn't dissipated, and that's part of this. It's got a really nice carbonation level, and it almost drinks almost like a smooth, almost like a milkshake. Really delightful beer. And the one thing I'm really looking for that I'm not tasting much of is the maple. Seems to be kind of hard to pull maple out of stuff. I'm sure it's there, and as it warms up even more, I'll look more for it. I definitely get the cinnamon. The cacao nibs are by far the highest. There's a coffee here, but I think it reminds me of that New Jersey, and it's a New Jersey beer. I know a lot of you have heard of Carton regular coffee. When you order a coffee in a diner in New Jersey, which New Jersey is the diner state, if you've ever been there, diner on every corner. The common way to order your coffee there is to get a regular coffee, and I think it's like 2 creams and 2 sugars. And that's kind of where we're going with this. It's got a lot of lactose, but it's really, really a lovely beer. It's maybe a little bit better constructed than the Stone Zokovica, and probably a big part of that is that beer is mass produced, and this is only made in limited batches and comes out, I think, once a year. And I was fortunate enough in one of my beer groups, saw somebody that had access to it and was able to pull a favor and get some of this. So, my wife is from New Jersey, and whenever I used to go back and visit her family, and it's not too far from the Philadelphia area where my family's from too. I always made it a point. It's only about an hour drive from where her family lived to Ocean, out to the brewery, and I'd love trips there. They're known they have a really good barrel aging program. This is not the barrel aged version of this, but there is a barrel aged version of Mexican Brunch. I wish I could have that one. That's probably fantastic. And I even have the proper glass, the cane snifter here, tulip glass that I'm drinking this out of. So I'll post a picture of this on Instagram, but honestly, it's really a delightful beer, and it's a perfect breakfast beer. Normally, I'm more of a stout guy than a porter, and I'm not a big lactose fan, but everything just works with this beer. It makes everything, pulls it together to be one consistent flavor, and again, the mouthfeel just is over the top. If I were judging this as a BJCP judge, I'd be giving it big high marks for that mouthfeel. So, great beer here. I wish I could share it with you. And now that I've had a couple sips, I will say that the coffee is really emerging here. When I go, 30 seconds without a sip, all I can taste is the coffee now. The bitterness of the coffee is, I guess maybe it's balanced out by all that sweetness you get on at the beginning, but everything is present in here, even the maple. But again, I can't speak highly enough of it. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if anybody else has had any cane beers or this beer, but I highly recommend if you're in the New Jersey area, go on out to Ocean. It's not that far from the Atlantic Ocean, and you could also, not too far from Asbury Park, you can go see the Stone Pony where Bruce Springsteen has been known to pop in on occasion because that's his hometown, and pretty cool area to visit. And if you go to any bars or bottle shops in the area, you'll usually be able to find some cane beers. Great stuff. All right, let's move on to Los Angeles. Steve V, you're up next.
Thank you. While you were doing your review, I went ahead and poured my beer, so give it a little air and let it sit out for a little bit. Tonight I am drinking from Mikkeller Beer Geek. Their stout, it's an oatmeal stout, and it's a flat white. So oatmeal stout brewed with coffee and lactose. It's poured out of a 11.2 fluid ounce bottle. Has a 7.5% ABV. When I poured it, there was a 0 head left on this. However, the only thing that's kind of left is a dark ring around the top. Initial scent of it, get kind of a mixture of coffee and chocolate and a little spice. Kind of gets up in your nose. It sits in there. Very, very dark coffee. I mean, it looks like solid dark cold brew. Taste of it's delicious. Very smooth. Almost tastes like, I get that taste of those C's candies with the dark chocolate. They come like they're pops. They got all the flavors. This one tastes like that dark one, sweet, chocolatey. Like I said, the coffee is in there. Wow, what a great beer! Really, really smooth. I'm not myself a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee, and just the taste of this is just incredible. Like I said, it's so dark. It's like you're drinking a nice thick mixture of coffee and like sweet chocolate, all mixed up in it, and it looks that thick too. I mean, it trails on the glass, looks like it's leaving just like sugar on it. Great taste in the mouth. Not doesn't feel thick. Feels kind of, like I said, more like you're drinking a very, very good iced coffee. And that's somebody who has some talent. We added some more flavors into it, like a little cinnamon or some kind of spice to kind of give you a little treat, because that's what you get from this beer. Very, very good. Very impressed.
Yep, I've had some Mikkeller Beer Geek before. I know I think that was the milkshake one. I think that was a bourbon barrel aged one. That was a fiasco. I went in on several other people on a shipment that came from, is it Denmark? Somewhere in Europe, Copenhagen, I think.
Yeah, and Denmark, Copenhagen.
Shipment got lost, and there was all kinds of, it took like a year till we got this resolved, and they sent us another box. I don't know what happened. It never made it through customs or something, but eventually we got the beer, and it cost us like $26 a bottle by the time everything was said and done. So it was kind of a fiasco, but I will say that once we got the beer, it was fantastic. I don't think it was this particular variant, flat white, but I order that at Starbucks sometimes, flat white. I'm guessing this is way better than anything Starbucks serves, though.
I would, if Starbucks coffee tasted like this, I would drink it all the time. This is very good.
Amen.
Like I said, it doesn't have that bitter taste you get with coffee. Like I said, so smooth and like I said, great taste of beer. I'm so glad I bought 2 of them because this is really, really tasty.
Yep. So if you're out there and you run into some Mikkeller Beer Geek in the stores, this is the flat white variant, but pretty much all their stuff is fantastic. And good to have an import for once too.
Well, is that actually made in California though? I know they had a brewery when I was in San Diego. There was a Mikkeller there, and they did some production there.
No, this one says it was brewed in Denmark.
Okay.
And the on the back of the label, all the ingredients and stuff's in Dutch.
In Danish.
Dutch. And yeah, except for a couple of highlighted words, as far as ingredients, it's all foreign.
Well, there is a Mikkeller San Diego, and I do believe they have a lot of like IPAs and hoppy beers that they produce there. But this particular one, I did know that based on the fiasco I went through trying to get it overseas. Again, I was with a group of several people that were in on this thing, but I remember just every couple months, hey, any word on that shipment from Denmark? And finally, after like 8 months, we got some kind of note that it was lost, and we filed some kind of claim with the brewery, and they finally sent us another box, and that took a couple months. But it was a long wait and kind of a annoying process. But if you see this on the shelf, just buy it and avoid all that nonsense. But the beer is solid as they come.
Yeah, Mikkeller's pretty. You can find a lot of their stuff here in LA, and I've done some reviews of their stuff. And we had a brewery that one of their offshoots that was here that was more of a restaurant, but they had all their beers on tap and a lot of other ones, and it was really nice. I was kind of sad that they closed down because it was a great place and you can get their beer, but for the most part, Mikkeller's still been pretty available out here in LA, so that's the good thing.
Good stuff. If you got them, smoke them.
ChristopherMedia.net.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So the weather is just all over the place lately, right? One day it's hot, and the next day it's windy for a while. It's like, make up your mind already. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth, and as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
ChristopherMedia.net.
All right, let's go to Dugout. Next, back to Michigan.
Okay, well, I've got a Michigan beer, and this one's from our friends over at Odd Side over in the west side of the state in Grand Haven. And this one is called Bluegrass Breakfast. And this is an imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, maple syrup, bacon, and pecans. Clocking in at a svelte 12.5%. And let's see, I poured this out some time ago, but it is no light gets through it. It is dark motor oil. And the smell of it, and you get the maple on the nose, that's for sure. And you get some bourbon on the nose. You get a little bit of dark fruit on the nose. But mainly the maple sort of takes over on the nose on this one. There's a nice bit of a head to it. It's obviously it's dissipated since I've poured it, but it's got a bit of a booziness right up front. But there's also a sweetness to it, obviously, from the maple. The maple is not real profound on the flavor part of it. So, as you were saying before, it's more of the sum of its parts on this one. But the coffee is there strong, not overpowering, just really nicely laid in. The maple complements it very nicely. I get a nutty finish on this, but not overly, which is fine with me. You don't too much nut can really kill a beer. And the bacon seems to be MIA. I'm not getting any bacon flavor at all out of this. So maybe that's just kind of their... And I kind of remember a few of their bacon beers where you just really had a struggle to find bacon in. I mean, there's a little bit of sweet and smokiness to it. Maybe that smokiness is coming off of the bacon, or it might not be. I'm not sure, but it's not overly smoky either. It's really a nice drinking beer for how big it is. It could probably be pretty dangerous, except that you just sort of know that there's a lot of booze in here. So it's delicious, and I think Oddside's really been doing some great barrel stuff lately. And I had stopped into the brewery right before everything locked down. I was able to take a trip, and they had about 4 or 5 different kinds of bourbon barrels on. They had double barrels, and everything was just so incredibly good. I know that they had issues in the past with some releases that didn't come out as they planned, and probably weren't handled the best ways that it could. But they seem to have moved on from those issues, and this seems to me to be their real strong point in brewing, are their bourbon barrels, their kind of odd ingredients, the Hazel's nuts and the what's the other one, the Rye Hipster. These guys just do some really good thing with these high gravity beers, that's for sure. I'm kind of wishing I'd have bought 2. I might have another look around for one. I don't think they were really that hard to find. And I might be out towards Western Michigan and maybe just stop into the brewery and see if they have some as well. But I would definitely get this again. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, as luck would have it, Doug, I have one of these in my hand right now. I haven't opened it, but looking forward to trying it based on your review. I also have 4 different cans of 4 different variants of hazelnuts. I agree with you. I know that there was several years back where some stuff got infected and Oddside's reputation took a hit. But they now put on all of their barrel-aged stuff, drink fresh. And, I know back in those days, everybody used to want to age stuff and hoard it and save it. You know what? The brewers release it. It's ready to drink. And you're not going to get all the characteristics that Doug out reviewed there if you wait and age this thing for 3 or 4 years. Stuff's going to fall off. So I'm certainly going to pop this thing pretty soon and not allow it to age and lose the characteristics that are in it now. And probably the same. I think you should
pop it now.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I learned. Oddside kind of took a hit for in their infancy when that happened, and a lot of people expected them to give them money back or give them free beers, and they just said, "Hey, when you age stuff, there's a risk." And I've learned from that. And when I get barrel-aged stuff, there's still some stuff I age. There's no question. I've got a cellar. I got stuff that's aged for years. But certainly with their beers, based on what happened, I've always tried to drink them fast. And it says right on it, drink it. I don't know if it does on this one, but I know for a while they had that on all their barrel-aged stuff. That the beers, if the brewmaster says, I'm releasing this beer, it's ready to drink, then there's probably some merit to that. And as we've discussed in some of these other beers we've had, these flavors like the one Ross had that was 4 or 5 years old. I mean, the coffee has faded, the bourbon has faded. Yeah, it's still a pretty good drinking beer, but it's not what it was when back in the day when it was fresh. So a lot of people like to buy one to age and one to drink now. So different beers age differently. But thanks for sharing. That's a great beer. Yeah, I do agree. I'll never shy away from an Oddside barrel aged stuff. I've had some great offerings from them, and we'll continue to seek those out. So before we move on to the grand finale, which will be the privilege that Greg gets tonight, wanted to ask everybody about any homebrew news. Dugout, John Golden, you're actively brewing. I'm going to be back in the game soon. Ordering my Anvil 10-gallon system, electric brewing system, trying to figure out a way to get my 220 volt hookup into the garage. The dryer is on the other side of the wall. I might even just poke in the hole in the wall and unplug the dryer when I need to use it, but that could cause some domestic problems with the wife.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think you want to go that route.
But I am moving forward, and we'll be brewing by first of the year. So looking forward to that. But you guys that are brewing, tell us what's going on. Doug, I'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, I took a fourth place in a fresh hop beer competition out of Yakima, Washington, with my Tea Maker Harvest Pale Ale, and used the Tea Maker hops that Steve and Andy brought over a few years back, and they are just so prolific, but they don't have any bitterness to them. They're all beta, no alpha. So I tried to craft a beer that had a little bit of a bitter backbone to it, and then just throw a ton of those hops, and it had some grassiness to it. I still got a little bit on tap. That John Golden had a few pints of that stuff, and it seemed to be really well received by the beer club as well when I brought it in to be sampled. It's so polarizingly different, and I'm sure that's I had two different score sheets. Unfortunately, the handwriting on them is so bad I can't read either one. And, sort of a pet peeve of mine, if anybody's a beer judge, man, you can't write that way. That's just bullshit. People need to be able to read. 15th beer. You're paying money to get into a competition. You should be able to read it, right? That's common sense. But anyways, that's just me going off on something stupid. But, it was polarizing for sure. I know one had a high score, one had a lower score. So I'm sure the lower score was just kind of like, what is this? Or the higher score kind of got what I was trying to accomplish with the beer. I'd make it again, that's for sure. I thought it came out really well. Everybody that's drank it has liked it. So I got a beer I just poured here, which is it's a takeoff of Maine Brewing Company. I don't know that the hops are sitting exactly right in this one, so that one I probably wouldn't put this in a competition, but it's just a good beer, a nice IPA for drinking, a little more of an experimental batch. And I got a Belgian triple that I brewed on Sunday. Should be in that 9.5% range, a little higher, with honey, and it's got sweet and bitter orange peel. And so that should be a really nice beer. I have really high hopes for that one. I was finally able to get the Le Fin du Monde Canadian Belgian yeast, which is a seasonal yeast. Comes out once a year. They didn't put it out last year. So it's been a 2-year absence on that beer for me. So I made sure I stocked up on a few bags of that yeast. But starting to get ramping up on some higher ABV beers right now for the national competitions, which I believe do sometime late January is when the registration starts, if I'm not mistaken. So I've got one or two more big ones that I want to get in hopefully before December 1st, and then I can kind of sit back and wait a little bit and sample some of those for the holidays as well.
Awesome. Funny you brought up Le Fin du Monde. We're working with Z Beer Man, Chris, on maybe getting a guest brewer on the show from Unibrew. So maybe you could ask for some of that Le Fin du Monde yeast. He might be able to help us or help you obtain that. So stay tuned for further developments on that front. And Ross also has a brewer guest that we're working on. So brewer guests are great. And kudos to you, Doug, for that acknowledgement, good recognition from, man. And when you're talking about the Yakima Valley and, Washington State-based, I mean, that's Hop City there. So I'm sure you had a ton of great competition. So
I felt the same way. I think that was like a really nice feather in the cap to not only score reasonably well, but to take a fourth place in a competition like that, with obviously some those guys, in my opinion, those guys have the edge on the fresh hops. That's hop country.
Oh.
So we kind of struggle sometimes with certain types of hops don't grow as well here. We had a brutal hot summer, so if you didn't water your hops every day, I didn't really get much out of the Cascade, and the Willamettes just kind of hit a dry spot when I was out of town and just curled up and died. So
Yeah, well, I had that beer, and actually I will say that it was really good.
Well, much respect. Much respect. John Golden, any brewing news from your end?
I'm getting ready to brew a couple of stuff over Thanksgiving. The boy will be home from Michigan Tech, and we have kind of a sort of a split batch planned. We're going to basically start off with a Belgian Pale Ale base. We're going to make 10 gallons of that, and then we're going to split it in half, and half we're going to turn into a Spruce IPA, and the other half we're going to turn into the latest variation of my Winter Carnival. It's actually a winter spiced beer, actually named after the Winter Carnival at Michigan Tech, which I question about whether that event is actually going to take place or not, but it's a beer that the last time we had the Michigan Beer Cup got canceled this past year, but the previous time I won a gold medal with that beer there, so I'm not changing the recipe much, just kind of tweaking it, taking a little bit of ginger out and adding a little more molasses. And then I actually was, right before we got on the call today, I was working on a recipe where the boy and I are talking about brewing when he's home for Christmas, doing a maple syrup bourbon barrel aged oatmeal stout. So I just started working on that recipe today, and going to be tweaking that over the next little bit and figuring that one out. So I have kind of high hopes for that one.
Me too. I'll be looking for a sample.
Yeah.
Let's go to the grand finale. Greg, you must be really, really thirsty. Either that or you're already on your second beer or third beer. So welcome back, Smitty.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been a while. I appreciate you having me back, and I'll be honest here. I'm not really thirsty because I have been slowly enjoying this beer that I brought today. So glad to review it. Mine is from a small brewery out in Kalamazoo, Michigan, about 2 hours west of where I'm at, called Wax Wings Brewing Company. And the beer that I brought along here is, unlike the heavy hitters you guys brought along, I decided to go on a 4.5% fruited sour conditioned on raspberry, blackberry, blueberry, tangerine, maple syrup, vanilla, and waffles. So there's the breakfast part of it, right? Maple syrup and waffles. Who doesn't love that? So this was packaged 1028, and Wax Wings is one of them small little breweries that, they sell these beers online, and they're gone within 5-10 minutes. So you have to be really quick to get these suckers. They're really popular right now. They're doing some great IPAs, stouts, even these fruited, sours, just absolutely killing it right now. So poured it in my glass. Just imagine just all these berries just combining into the purplish red hue that it is. Just absolutely gorgeous. You can't see anything through it. It's just thick as can be. Swirl around the glass, and there's just a lot of fruit particles just hanging. We talk about with high ABV, we've got like alcohol legs. Well, this has got fruit legs to it, so it's absolutely gorgeous. On the nose here, it's just straight dark berry jam. You get some fruit sweetness along with a little tartness as well. Just it's jammy. I mean, that's all I can describe it as. Just absolutely gorgeous. Let's take a sip here. Very thick mouthfeel, think like a fruit smoothie. Once again, just like the smell, very jammy, followed with kind of giving that waffle-y type, breadiness to it. On the back end is like getting that maple syrup finish to it, and vanilla adds to it very nicely as well. Just everything is just so balanced on here. It's just a fantastic brew. Like I said, 4.5%, comes in a 16-ounce can. You can chug these suckers, all day long.
I'll say, as far as the all day long, it's a good thing these are breakfast beers because, as they say, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
There you go.
True statement.
Very true statement. So, kudos to Wax Wings. They're producing some killer stuff. They're certainly they're at the moment they're not really big enough to be distributing, so everything is online. Everything usually announced on their Instagram page the day before, and like I said, within 5-10 minutes of going online, they're usually sold out. So they've got a pretty good model for selling their beer, especially during these times of COVID and whatever else. But I hope to see these guys prosper. As we go on. So, cheers.
Yeah, it's really happy that you reviewed a Wax Wings beer because I almost selected that over the cane beer that I had. My friends in Michigan sent me one bottle of, I think it was an Imperial Stout, or it was definitely a dark beer with some, I know there was cocoa nibs. There was some breakfast components in it. There was a coffee and cocoa, I think. I'm still in touch with a lot of Michigan people. Since I moved away, I've stayed in some of my groups and had an opportunity to. Somebody was going to pick some stuff up, and I said, "Yeah, pick me up one of those," and send them the money. And so I have a bottle. That's the only bottle of Wax Wings I've had. But every single beer that I see reviewed by these groups is just. Great high-end reviews. They get high marks, so they're doing some great things. And I don't think I've ever seen a beer like that with all the fruit and the fruited sour like that. But I actually have a darker beer from them, so perhaps on a future episode or maybe within the next few weeks, I'll crack it.
Yeah, it's certainly a style it's gaining a lot of popularity. Holmes has adapted into it. Ascension and Novi. Of course, these guys, Wax Wings, Arvon, I think they're out of Grand Rapids. But, I think it really started with like 450 North out of Indiana. And then it's made its way around. So everybody seems to be, pulling it off. So.
Yeah, and even out here in Arizona, we have a brewery called Helton. That one of their biggest sellers that I have a couple cans in my fridge now is a boysenberry fruited sour. It's about 4.5-5%, real easy drinker. And I'm not a big sour guy, but that's a beer I can enjoy. So, all right, well that was a good way to round this episode out. I do want to say one more thing before we go to Mexico City. I wanted to review Rebel Hard Coffee, shameless plug because I will, full disclosure in the name of transparency, I work for the company that produces this, but it's a small company called 12-5 Beverage out of Wisconsin. We make a mocha latte, a vanilla latte. We have some seasonals, which was pumpkin spice, now going into peppermint mocha, and we make a cold brew. But what I will do is I don't think it would be appropriate for me to review a beer that I sell and that I'm involved in. So I'm going to put it on our Instagram, a picture of these, and the first two people that respond that they would want to review this and either send us an email or even maybe come on the show and review it. Look for that on Instagram, and I will personally send you a couple cans of this stuff and allow you to give an unbiased review. How's that sound?
Am I eligible for this?
Yes, why not?
Okay.
I will. I'll tell you what. For the other beer nuts, I'll just send you guys some samples. I think I got some stuff at that pistachio beer I want to send Doug out, and I figure if I send him a a big enough box that'll hold all my Coonan stuff, I might actually get it by Christmas. So I'll send you guys some too. And that would be another great breakfast. It is technically a malt beverage, so it is classified as a beer, but it is basically the alcoholic version of Starbucks Frappuccino. Delicious, indulgent. But rather than me hype it up, since I'm in the sales world for it, I'll spread some love around. So listeners, look for that on Instagram, and all I'm asking for is an honest review, and I will send you a couple cans. Sound good? I think so. Free beer? Why not? Free, it's for me. So that about wraps it up. That was a fantastic episode. Great to have a lot of you guys back that haven't been with us for a while. It's I know the last few months have been challenging. A lot of people have a lot of things going on. Maybe now that the cold weather's here, we'll be able to have more episodes with more of us. So I'm grateful for that. So thanks for listening, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris for the obligatory closing, and then he can turn it back to me for the Mexico City. But
oh, yeah, just make sure you're following us at Beer Nuts Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram. That's where you can show us what you're drinking as well. You can email the show, beernutspodcast@christophermedia.net. And always, don't forget to like us on Facebook. Hey, it's 11% beer. Cut me some slack tonight. Also, christophermedia.net, go there, hit the Amazon banner. That is where you can, you're doing your Christmas shopping. You click through that banner. It helps us out if you buy something, because we get a little piece of what you just bought, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So, win-win. Plus, when you're at ChristopherMedia.net, if you're just in the giving mood, you can just click on the PayPal banner, give us a couple bucks. You can even subscribe using the PayPal banner, too. And then where can't you listen to us? At Amazon's now in the podcast game, so you can find us on Amazon Music. You can also find us on Audible. Then, of course, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker.com, the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcasts. Anywhere that you can find a podcast is where we are at. That's it for this section, JR. I believe it's time to go to Mexico City.
Okay, well, this Mexican brunch is a good segue into the entry to Mexico City. So, as they say in old Mexico City,
Progressive presents The Sounds of the Old World. The year is 2019, and someone is waiting for the previews to start in a movie theater.
Hey, you want anything? Popcorn? Soda? No, nothing?
This has been The Sounds of the Old World. Brought to you by Progressive, where drivers can still switch and save like it's 2019.
Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth, and always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.